Okay, apologies for the complete sweatiness of this. It's really hot in the UK right now. I've finally managed to get my hands on the GoPro wireless mic. So let's see how it works out and how it performs. The GoPro wireless mic is something I've been waiting for GoPro to do for a long time. I've been suggesting it for a long time now. It's not quite the implementation that I was hoping for, because I was hoping for a kind of unique, maybe waterproof microphone system with onboard recording. But for a first foray into wireless mics, GoPro's design has a lot of things going for it. Number one primarily is that it works with the Mission 1 Pro. So it makes the Mission 1 Pro a lot more viable as a vlogging device, because you can now use decent quality wireless audio. One thing I really like about it is that it is very small, it's very compact, it's extremely lightweight. I can't remember the grams off the top of my head, but GoPro reckons it's about the weight of 2 pieces of A4, and yeah, it is really small and light, so that makes it pretty inconspicuous. And also it doesn't hang off clothing quite as much as some of the competitors do. Now it comes in this little bag and the box goes inside it. One thing I would say is that, just as Insta360 made the mistake of doing, and DJI previously did in its previous microphones but doesn't anymore because it's learnt from its mistakes, you can't fit the microphone inside the box with the windshield attached to it. It's a small thing, but it's actually a big thing, because if you're moving from place to place and you've got the windshield on the microphone, you really do want to just quickly put it in the box and close it and off you go. You can't do that. You have to take the windshield off. So yeah, bit of a minus point there, but it is designed to be used in different situations and on different cameras. So not just with the Mission 1 Pro. You have this receiver here, which can go on the hot shoe or cold shoe of a camera, like a mirrorless camera. And you can also, if I can get it out of the box, you can also use this USB connector as well for devices that can take USB audio. So you can use this with other action cameras as well if they take the USB audio input. But obviously the more convenient way of using it is in a wireless situation like this. Now, as I say, I was hoping for GoPro to do something unique, like have a waterproof microphone system with onboard recording. This doesn't have onboard recording like the other manufacturers, and I think this is a bit of an oversight on the part of GoPro, because it does give you that sort of safety margin. Wireless microphones can disconnect. You know, depends on the environment you're in. So if you're in a busy urban environment, you might be in a busy city like London or New York or somewhere, the chances of a disconnection are much greater than they are in a situation like this, where I'm just out in the middle of the countryside. So having onboard recording gives you that kind of safety net if you do suffer a disconnection. And GoPro did say when I went to one of the events that they didn't want to overload it with features as a first microphone, but I think, you know, to a degree, I think they should have gone all out and had the onboard recording on it as well. And yes, that would have made it slightly more pricey, because it would involve having storage on board, and the price of that is quite expensive right now. But even still, the other manufacturers do it, and I'm sure GoPro could have done it, and I would have liked to have seen it. So in the past, I have made the mistake of thinking that the super wideband audio wireless connection to the Mission 1 Pro was 24-bit 48 kilohertz. It isn't. I'm very stupid for thinking that, but I'm perfectly prepared to admit that I've been wrong on that. It is in fact 16-bit at 32 kilohertz. But that is still a lot better than the connection to the previous GoPro cameras, like the Hero 13 and the Hero 12. This does mean that it isn't full quality audio, but it is very useful, as you can hear now. What I would say is that do not be for a moment fooled that Osmo audio on the DJI cameras or Insta360's equivalent are any better. DJI and Insta360 don't publish the specs for the audio quality on the wireless connection to their cameras. I suspect it is exactly the same as it is with the Mission 1 Pro. But you know, I use these systems quite often, as many of you do watching this, and to be honest, you know, it's completely usable for doing voice audio and voice recordings like this. It's really convenient to do, but it does show where a true radio mic still has a big advantage over these sorts of new inexpensive wireless mic systems. But just for comparison, let's go to the USB connection with the USB receiver on the Mic 1, and that is 24-bit 48 kilohertz sound. And this is the USB receiver plugged directly into the camera using the GoPro mic, and this is 24-bit sound with 48 kilohertz sampling frequency. So we'll see if you can hear any audible difference. One of the big differences is going to happen when you are adjusting the sound in post. You'll obviously have more leeway for adjustment and tuning in post with a higher quality audio file, obviously. But as I say, I use the wireless connection directly to the camera, whether that's DJI or Insta360 or this Mission 1 Pro, all the time, and I've never really had any complaints. The sound is probably a little bit thinner than it is with the full quality, but you know, it's that sort of trade-off between convenience and quality, and quite often convenience wins out. Obviously, when you have the USB receiver plugged into the camera, it's no longer weatherproof, so you have that advantage when you're using the direct wireless connection. You know, if you can get one of these microphones and it is heavy rain and you can find a way of placing it so it doesn't get wet, then you can still use the camera out in inclement weather conditions, which you can't do when you have the USB receiver plugged into the USB port. Now, mounting wise, you can clip it on like I have here, and you can use the magnet. Now, the magnetic system is very strong. It's very small as well. It's a very small magnet because the microphone is very small. So it is pretty easy to lose it. The clip itself is permanently attached to the microphone, so that's not detachable. So it's not like the DJI system where the clip is removable and then you put the magnet on the back of the mic instead of the clip. On the GoPro, the clip is fixed, and that's actually a good thing, because if you're using the mic in a high vibration situation, let's say you're riding a mountain bike or a motorbike, an off-road motorbike or something, then sometimes even with the clip there is that risk that it could become detached, whereas at least with this system, you know that the clip is completely attached to the microphone and it's not going to detach from it. That said, obviously the microphone can fall off your clothing anyway in a particularly violent scenario, but sometimes a clip is more reliable than the magnetic mount, depending on the situation you're using it in and the thickness of your clothing and etc. Now, I haven't had any disconnections from this. I have seen other people say that they have, but as I say, it depends on the environment you're using it in as well, and that goes for the distance that you'll get from these sorts of microphones. You know, a radio mic is always going to give you the highest quality and the most reliability, particularly in the licensed frequencies. Bluetooth is always going to be limited if you're in a very busy situation, like, as I say, a place like New York or London where there's a lot of stuff around. It's going to drastically reduce the distance, and it's also going to have an effect on the reliability of your connection. So, you know, it's as well to make sure that you're using this in an environment where it is suitable if you want to record at distance. But, you know, this is going to be a problem for pretty much any Bluetooth style microphone that you come across. Now, it does have noise reduction as well for background sounds, and you just press the power button once and a little white light lights up on it to tell you that it's in the noise cancellation mode, and then obviously press it again and it turns it off. Okay, on a fairly busy road, I've got the noise cancellation turned on, and so we'll see how that sounds with traffic going past. And see how it interferes with the voice. Do I sound like a Dalek? We'll find out. I'm not a great fan of using these built-in noise cancellation systems. They're okay in a pinch, and you know, they can work okay if you have just quiet background sound you want to get rid of. But when you're in the middle of a town and you've got lots of traffic, you know, it can be detrimental to the overall quality. It depends on whether whether you absolutely need that location sound. I do often find it better to just record the full quality sound and then use something like Resolve's AI noise reduction system, which you can really tune and tailor, because you know, you don't need to completely eliminate all of the background sound. You just need to quieten it, and if you go on that basis, you can get some really high quality voice audio, but just keeping that natural background sound in your video without making everything sound too over processed. So yeah, okay, it's got the noise cancellation built into it, but I'm never a fan of using these things anyway if I can help it. So it's quite blustery now, so just test out this microphone to see how well the windshield works in these kind of conditions. It's strange that it's so windy today. Blue skies and the temperatures are supposed to be going really high today, but yeah, for some reason it's very windy. Okay, so I've no idea if the audio peaked earlier on. I'm still using manual control on the levels at the moment, so that audio might have peaked from those wind gusts, and that is one of the major disadvantages of not being able to have a backup 32-bit float recording on the microphone itself, because quite often one of the reasons why wind noise sounds so bad is because it peaks the audio. So it reaches the maximum volume and then the audio just breaks up as it goes beyond its maximum capabilities. So 32-bit float recording mitigates that and allows you to recover all that detail in the sound. It's a lot easier to process and deal with wind noise on a 32-bit float recording than it is with a standard 24-bit 48 kilohertz one. And as I say, that's why wind noise often sounds so terrible in recordings. It's not really because of the wind itself, it's because of that harsh sound that it produces as it peaks and blows out the audio. I like the fact that it is really lightweight. I don't like the fact that you can't close the storage box with the windshield on it, and I would like to see some onboard recording on it. But as I said at the head of the video, it does mean that the Mission 1 Pro, which I'm filming on right now, is made a much more practical vlogging solution. The only other thing is that, unlike the DJI mic system and the Insta360 system, this can't be used across GoPro's range of cameras. At the moment, you can only use it at the full quality with the Mission 1 Pro. Sure, you can connect it to GoPro's other cameras, but then you are going to be limited to that old 16 kilohertz Bluetooth standard. And that is the thing with DJI and Insta360, is that they have a full range of cameras. They have the action cameras, they have the 360 cameras, they have the gimbal cameras, and now both companies have drones as well. So there is a full kind of filmmaking system, as it were, with those companies, which you don't have with GoPro. So that is the limitation with GoPro. If you are going to want to buy a system of cameras and know that you can use the wireless microphone with them at full quality across the range, as I say, that's something you don't get with GoPro, and it does put it at a bit of a disadvantage still. So I guess a big question is, you know, is it worth getting the GoPro wireless mic system for the Mission 1 Pro, or do you get one of the others from DJI? You know, if you want to use the USB receiver plugged in, you can use any of the manufacturer's cameras. The DJI mic connected directly to the Mission 1 Pro does not give the super wideband capabilities. It will go back down to 16 kilohertz. And obviously the 32 kilohertz of the super wideband capability of this, when it's connected to the Mission 1 Pro directly, is double that quality. So You could use the USB receivers, as I say, but when you do that, you lose the weatherproofing capability of the camera. But there is the price to consider as well, because the GoPro mic is more pricey than competitors when you look at the features, and the GoPro mic is more comparable to DJI's Mic Mini system. And DJI has just come out with the Mic Mini 2, and that also has 32-bit onboard float recording. So that gives it a big advantage, because the Mission 1 Pro can't record a backup track to the mic itself. So it is a shame that GoPro did not at least put some kind of backup storage onto the microphone itself, even if that wasn't 32-bit float. But I really do think they should have gone for the 32-bit float option, even though that might have pushed up the price a little bit because of the cost of RAM. But it would have brought the microphone more on par with current competitors. But as I say, if you're not going to use the USB receiver plugged into the camera, and you want the convenience of just going from the mic wirelessly straight to the camera, then using the GoPro mic is the only way you're going to get the 32 kilohertz 16-bit sound recording going into the Mission 1 Pro. So I think for a first microphone, GoPro has done a solid job. It's not an outstanding one, but it certainly does the job with the Mission 1 Pro and makes it more useful for vlogging, as I keep saying. But in terms of a general mic system, although you can use it with other cameras, because people buy these microphones not just to use with DJI cameras or Insta360 or GoPro cameras, they buy them to use on their mirrorless cameras and other devices. So because it has less features than the others, you might get more value for the money with something like the Mic Mini 2. But if you're in the GoPro ecosystem, then I would certainly recommend buying it if you've got a Mission 1 Pro when you're doing vlogging. In fact, I'd say it was pretty essential. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the GoPro Wireless Mic Complete system. If you've made it this far, then please do consider giving the video a like, and maybe even subscribing to my channel if you want to see more content from me. But that's it for now. I do have some affiliate links below, so if you are considering purchasing any of this stuff, then please do consider using my affiliate links. They don't cost you anything. I do make a commission on them, obviously, but it helps keep the channel going and helps keep my lights on. So anyway, I'll see you all in the next video.